Hello everyone, I am Jayant.
I am Harish. Welcome to the Swatantra Show.
We bring you inspiring stories of entrepreneurs building interesting independent businesses, staying bootstrapped. Listen in and enjoy.
Hello and a very warm welcome to this episode of Swatantra Show. Be the change you want to see in the world. We have all heard of this famous saying by Mahatma Gandhi, and yet it remains just a quote for most of us, but not to our guest today. Let's welcome Anirudh from Let's Be the Change. Welcome to the show, Anirudh.
Eldru Namaskara. Thank you for the welcome.
Anirudh, it's a pleasure to have you on the show. To start off, what's that one thing you wish you had known when you began your career?
I think to be very clear, the only thing which was kind of clear to me was what I wanted to do, and the end goal was something which was running in our end, which is the vision and the mission and what we want to achieve in the end. So that's the only thing which was there in the mind, and the path and the route which we had to take was all not completely clear.
Path was not completely clear, you said, but you had some end goal in mind, right? So could you talk of that?
Okay, so when we started off, before we started off, the basic things which were running in our mind was what can we as teenagers do something for the betterment of the environment? Is it that we can't do anything, or is it that we are not capable of doing anything? So these were the questions which were running through my head and my teammates' head. So the end goal was to come out with a result to empower people and to have a better Nama Bengaluru and have a better environment in and around Bengaluru. So that was our end goal at that time, and we just had clean Bangalore in our mission and clean Bangalore in our heart, which we wanted to achieve. So other than that, we didn't have anything else. The path was very much not clear, and what we have to do next, what are the initial steps, was never clear to us. Yeah, to answer that question, yeah, that's the thing which was there in our mind. We had few questions and we started answering those questions by having a vision and a mission on what we tend to do next.
And that kind of gave rise to Let's Be the Change, right? Which is what you run today. Could you talk more about what is Let's Be the Change all about, and what are the activities that you are involved in, and how you run this social enterprise?
So we are presently building active communities across Bangalore, and we are building awareness on the importance of solid waste management, and we are telling people how important it is to actually communicate and know people who stay in and around us. For example, if we have any issue in terms of solid waste or in terms of basic civic issues in front of our house, so what are the basic things to do, and who is the officials we need to approach? It's not always tweeting to the commissioner in say Twitter or any other social media. It's also about knowing who is the local health inspector, who is our counselor, whom we can actually talk to and meet. There needs to be a personal connect in every community on to know who is the inspector and who is the sub inspector in our locality and what is his role and who is the traffic inspector in our locality. So this way, these are the basic categories which we sorted out. And in every community which we work in, we tend to build that basic communication, and we tend to bridge that gap by telling them and by also creating a solution which is more like making to know people better who stay in around us and people who are responsible for few things in the locality. So that's what we are presently doing. So we are building that synergy between the government and the public, who are the citizens. So that way, and we also tend to do a lot of programs in and around it. Say, to give you an example, if there is one person who reports a problem in his locality in our website or through us through WhatsApp or any other social media, the basic things which we tell him to do is what is the end goal you want to achieve and who you are presently connected with. So that way we understand that they don't know much of people there, and the majority of them don't even know what's the ward number of the locality. Ward number is the specified name and number given by the municipal corporation. So these are some of the basic general knowledge stuff which we tell them to inculcate, and also start talking with some more people who have similar problem in their locality about the same, maybe their neighbors, whom people would have never even had a conversation with. So it's all about building that community, building that synergy, and getting to know people better, and starting a small WhatsApp group with the local police station and the counselor and some of the active, interested uh, citizens. So presently we have around 50 such communities in and around Bangalore, and we aim at having all 198 communities across Bangalore with such active communities, active working in synergy with the government. So that's what we are presently doing. To come down to our activities, so we have a small list of activities which depends on the locality and which depends on the situation. So one is called as a cleanathon, wherein we get a report from any of the public about, say, solid waste management issue. So we connect them with the local municipality, and if it's a space which requires upliftment, or if it's urban eyesore, so what we do is we tend to completely beautify the place and paint it if there is a wall, and completely uplift and give the place a new look. So that's called as a cleanathon. And we also have plog run, wherein if there are some specified locations which has driveways lying around, we tend to do a route, and all the active joggers in the locality, they can come be a part. It's more like a fun and clean project wherein each person carries a plugging bag and a mask and a gloves. So just run around the designated route and pick up all the dry waste which has been lying there, and then we send that to the recycling plant. That's number two. Number three is we do government schools revamping and renovation, and uplifting the beauty of the government school, and also building some solid waste management system in government schools, and also teaching the kids on why you need to have waste segregation and what are the advantages of it, and how your school can be an eco school and how it can be environment friendly. So these are the top three initiatives, and during the seasons we do some awareness depending on the festivals. So majority we do it for the Clay Ganapati workshop. So that's one of our flagship festival kind of program, wherein we give small clay mud to people, and we tell them that how you can actually build your own Ganesha with just mud. So that way there's a special bond between them and the Ganesha which they make in their own hand. And it's more like a relationship between them and that Ganapati which they have made. And it's not just go buy a Ganesha and then, POP Ganesha and then just give it away. So we have seen a lot of people asking us, can we actually keep this with us only because we have made it with our hands and we have spent some quality time with it. I think that's the bond which is really important, and that's what we do in the Clay Ganapati workshop sessions, wherein people get a bond and they understand the importance of not getting a POP and not harming the environment in terms of a festival. So yeah, these are some of our flagships initiatives which we do.
So what you're doing is, at least in my mind, is challenging on multiple fronts, right? You're doing a social activity which requires community effort, and building communities and motivating them to do things like the activities that you mentioned is not very easy, right? I mean, you'll need to get them to donate their free time in a way to do some of these activities. And first of all, you have to build that community. Second, you will need, and these are activities which would also require uh, money, that is funding is required. And third, you are running this as a social enterprise, which means you need to recover your costs and make sure you have people that you pay for in your enterprise. You meet all those costs as well. How are you going about these three different things: building communities, secondly getting the funding for some of these activities, and then also being able to run it as a social enterprise and not just a volunteering activity?
Yeah, Harish, it's not so easy as we talk about building sustainable communities. But our target audience are the people who actually approach us through such problems which they have, and some of the problems which we, our volunteers, approach, and we tend to solve it only when we have people reacting to it. Say if we identify a place and there are some people who live around in and around that locality, we actually do a small survey and talk with them about, hey, we are doing this activity, would you like to join hands on this Sunday? So we have seen that majority of the people at the very beginning stage will show interest and they'll have something new in their mind saying, hey, this is something new, why don't I join hands with them? So sustaining them have been a challenge to us because of the ground challenges and because of the some of the irregular waste collection and the not segregating the waste properly. Yeah, there are quite of challenges, but to keep them motivated and keep them engaged, what we tend to do is we tend to uh, say have some goodies in line, and we tend to have some outcome barriers. Say for example, what is the outcome we are expecting and what is the outcome the guy is actually being provided with. Say for example, we I can give you an example of the HSR layout wherein the people there are not pre-existing in that locality from say 15, 20, 30 years. So that's quite a new kind of locality, and there are people who are migrants more, who have come here and who have started their life in Bangalore. So in such places, you don't get a lot of people who are completely aware of the system, and you get a lot of migrants who don't understand the local language also. So in that particular system, when we actually connected them with the municipality and we actually told them that these are the guys who you need to be in touch with, and these are the officials who come and collect your waste regularly, and these are the basic steps which you have to do. So there was a synergy between them, and there was a bond between them, which was sparked from our end. Today, if there is any kind of community program, or if they have any kind of say a housewarming or any kind of activity in their home, in their respective house, they tend to invite the officials also for such programs. So that's really, I mean, that's one of the factors which motivated us in building communities, wherein they became a part of their family. It was more like, these guys are our family, and I saw a lot of people coming there and being a part of the function and having fun. So that's the kind of community which we tend to build. Yeah, in some places we do have challenges wherein the community did broke up and then they didn't completely uh, do the work, and there were more of clashes between the officials and the citizens. So yeah, the challenges are there. So to rectify it, what we are trying to do is we are trying to get more of incentivizing the process and trying to get some goodies in line, wherein if they do something good, they are recognized, and say if they do something good for the community in their free time, they are being identified as a Veera in their locality. So that way we have some concepts in line which are running through, and we keep them motivated in line, and we also tell them that once they do an activity and it's kind of achieving and it's kind of giving results, we tend to appreciate the work they've done, and we also tend to see if there is a scope of work in having them as a full-time employee in such particular locality, in say in developing only his own locality and being a part of the change in his locality. So we have been seeing a lot of youths who have been coming forward and taking up ownership in their respective localities. So it's completely dependent on the ground challenges. But as you mentioned, yes, there are a lot of challenges, but it's picking up. To be really frank, it's do picking up, and we are trying to come up with innovative solutions wherein we are approaching a lot of college students who have their own mindsets of what they want if they would do social work, or what they have in mind if they want to become a say a social entrepreneur. So that way we tend to give more awareness on the social space, because in foreign countries you would have seen a lot more social initiatives being taken forward, and a lot more social space people given, being recognized and uh, being respected in a whole new level. But here social enterprise or a person who's working in a non-profit is seen in a different way. As you mentioned, what is the source of income, how are you guys sustaining? So this is also a field wherein people can make out a life in, and they can actually lead a successful, happy life by supporting and by building communities. So that's number one. Number two, we are working in synergy with a lot of companies, and we tend to tell the companies to adopt their respective localities wherever they stay in, and through the CSR, through their CSR policies, and if they have sustainable communities in that, and we tend to work in synergy with them in building a strong community in and around the campus of their respective office. Yes, we do work in terms of raising funds in and around the community. Say if a citizen reports any kind of problem, so we also tend to do some basic drives such as paper collection drive or e-waste collection drive, just to raise funds for that particular activity. Say if it costs close to around 15,000 for all the materials and the labor and all those things. We tend to do it by doing pre-events like the fundraising activities. Like we go around for around 5, 6, or 7, 8 crossroads, and we talk with more people and we say them that we are eradicating this particular garbage dump and we're beautifying it. So this is the fund which we are planning to raise. So would you be helpful in joining hands with us, and would you be able to donate some of your newspapers or some of your e-waste, which we can actually take it, and then these are one of our methodologies. Number three, we also do it in say online. There are a lot of platforms which do have say crowdfunding platforms. So even through there, we are raising funds, and that those are all project based kind of funding, and we do. Number three, yes, it's a social enterprise, and yes, it's a little bit challenging at the beginning, but I think the if the ideology and if the process is very much clear on what we want to do, we will definitely find a lot of corporate companies and a lot of HNIs who would be interested in funding for the activity and who would be interested in looking out for results in such activities. So I've seen a lot of social enterprises also getting, say, investors, and also getting people who are like angel investors and coming on board and supporting for the cause. So presently, yeah, we do have full-time employees with us, and we associated with the NSRCL IAMB, and we are also looking at some more young entrepreneurship shells which are ready to support non-profits or the social enterprises in terms of connecting through CSR grants or institutions which or philanthropic institutions who are actually giving out grants for the cause and for the result oriented and not just making profits out of money. And I hope I answered all your three questions.
Yeah, I was
Wait,
just thinking like Meti, the more you speak, I have more questions, but I'll pause. I think Giants has a question. Yeah,
yeah.
it's
Firstly,
all.
Anirudh, awesome work. Honestly, the way you've explained things, we can all, like Harish rightly said, we have like so many of the questions because the fact that there are a lot of moving parts, and how do you project manage each of these minute tasks, area level, ward level, and all that. It in itself looks like a Herculean task, and it really surprises me the way that you have managed and the way that you have been running for almost 7+ years on this really awesome work. Anirudh, starting an organization and making a living out of it is in itself a challenge, right? So you've sort of spoke about the organization in terms of let's be the changes, challenges in terms of what you had and how did you overcome that. So being a social entrepreneur has its own unique challenges, which normally, I myself, I'm an entrepreneur. The challenges that I have are completely different from the way that you have, right? So what were those challenges for you, and what experience in terms of results that you saw, initial results, and what thought process that you had gave you the confidence that this let's be the change as a organization will work out for you?
I think one advantage is that I started off when we were about to start our engineering. So we started off in our after our 12th grade exams. So to be really frank, we never thought that we would be actually running a social enterprise after engineering. So it was just the thought and it was just the cause which was actually driving us through the engineering. And it was more like a field study, and it was more like a subject for 4 years which we took on and we tend to address a lot of issues and causes. So at that particular moment, I learned a lot. These 4 years of my engineering also taught me that starting something on your own requires a lot of ground study, and also some of the uh, say what's happening across the globe around the same cause or what they're doing. I think I had a lot of time to take, and also to easily figure out the challenges, and also easy uh, to identify what we can do next and what are the steps we can take next. So I would actually tell all those teenagers to actually start looking out. Maybe you really don't have to be, say, completely dedicated or something, say this has to be your next field or something like that, but just look around, just see your core idea on where you are interested in. Try to start working when you are studying itself. Say you don't have to give your 100%, but at least give your 60%, say, on whatever your interests are. So that's completely what we did. We gave our 60%, and we then the things started motivating us, and the ground challenges started motivating us to give 150% more than what we actually were doing. So I think that was the biggest advantage for us to start off when we were actually studying. We understood a lot of ground challenges. We met a lot of HNIs. We met a lot of people who were motivating us, and he told us what we can do and what we shouldn't be doing. And there were many times where we realized, oh, this is not something we should be doing. And I think when I almost finished my engineering, so I had a choice to make, and I was very much clear that I would be going in the social enterprise space. One, because I had the ground experience, and two, because I was completely ready for it in terms of we had that perfect municipality connections, and we had the idea on what to do next and how we can sustain ourselves, and what are the, say, ground challenges we get in running a social enterprise, and how do we get the funds running in, and what is the year project, and what are the, say, categories. So that way, I think when we were students was one of the biggest advantage. So whenever I talk about what we do, I just say to all the students that start something which you want and which you are actually interested in at the time when you are actually studying, because you have the time, which I think you can actually relate to it. It's actually a time when we have the golden days of our life. And to be very frank, that's what hit us in PU, and we started off, and the 4 years of engineering helped us a lot. Going on for the next challenges, I think, yeah, bringing in funds and actually bringing in the cause related people. So that's one of the biggest challenge which we faced. Say, having people on board who are completely dedicated as much as we are, and who are actually looking at solving the cause and solving the problem and connected more with the cause, rather than say, will I get my salary next month, or will I won't get it, or what is the company in the next 2 years or 3 years. We want people who are accepting the challenges and who would come out on board like our brother and sister on board. So that was one of the challenges in identifying people. So other than that, the ground challenges, yes, to get the right, say, the company who can trust us, and who can trust us in uh, the cause which we are running, and to actually get some more funders on board, some more HNIs on board, would actually connect with us and also with the organization in a personal level. So to connect that, yeah, that was also one of the biggest challenges. But when we are actually doing a social impact, which is creating, impact on ground, and when people talk about the impact which has been created to them personally, so that's when you get people, calling from different phases of life, and you meet them, and they're like, hey, I've heard about you guys. Hey, we want to work with you. So you never know who would come back to you in a social enterprise. In terms of that, we have been very much lucky. I think most of the beneficiaries from our end have actually benefited us in a very, say, very surprised way, and very much, say, yeah, we have been like really lucky to have been helped those beneficiaries. there were a lot of requests which came inbound to us, and there were so many companies who actually came looking forward in terms of, hey, you guys are doing this, we want to be working with you guys, how can we do it? And everything might not be a, say, a long-term kind of connection. It might be one-time activity or a two-time activity, but everything builds on with the initial sales. In social enterprise, it's all about connecting the people with the cause, and also connecting with them on a personal level rather than just keeping it like a business or just business oriented. Because when you don't get results at the expected time, they have to understand the ground challenges, and they have to say cope up with us in terms of driving towards achieving the goal and not just towards achieving the target.
So yeah,
Absolutely, absolutely, Anirudh. So, what is one common myth about social enterprise, or maybe to make it even more personal, what is one common myth about let's be the change that you want to debunk? So, do you have something like, okay, this is a notion about let's be the change, which is not what it stands for? Do you have something like that?
Um, Presently, yes, we do have, because there's a myth wherein some of the volunteers uh, are not completely connected with the cause. But I mean, I met a lot of say relatives and a lot of people who actually, when they meet me, they talk with me in terms of, oh, you're doing the NGO also now. I'm like, yes, I'm doing it. So what do you do for a living? I'm like, I'm actually doing that only for the living. So yeah, changing the people's mindset and removing the myth about running a social enterprise is also something where you can be happy and where you are earning, and you're leading a good amount and a happy life. So that's one of the myth which I would like to break, because there have been a lot of organizations around, say, 20 plus years or 30 plus years old, who are doing this from a very long time, but still the myth is there, say you can't sustain in a social enterprise, and whatever you are trying to do should be a part time, get a job, start working in a company where you get paid. So that's one of the things which we want to break the myth about. And in some of our volunteers also, they are quite a little scared when they talk to us about the programs, and when we tell them there are internship available, and if you are looking for, say, a full-time job, if you're really good in the internship, then we will take you on board. So that time we have seen some interns say that, how long will you guys be working? Is it a model where can I see you guys in the next 5 years or 6 years? What is the thing? So that's one of the myth which I personally would want to break. And one more myth is that people come here and they have fun during the activities, and they go back and they tend to do what they are doing on a day-to-day life. So what we want to tell them is, say, have some social skills with you, and also have some civic sense wherein there are some do's and there are some don'ts which you shouldn't do. And we have seen some people, when we tell them not to throw garbage here, and they do it in front of us just to show that they are cool enough, but which is not cool enough. And which we try to tell them that, see, this is not something really cool you do about or drag about, where you actually need to be ashamed of doing such things. Uh, to go in depth to the question on social enterprise, yes, it's actually a very vast field, and if you actually go through some of the foreign establishments, they have uh, such a huge payroll. Also, if I must stress on money part, they have a huge payroll, and there is a social position which is given to those people. Hey, this guy runs a social enterprise, he works in a social enterprise, and he's so and so of the social enterprise. So that way people see them in a whole different level in terms of, oh, how come these guy, he's working in, say, UNDP or etc etc. uh, they see them, and the amount of respect they get is something completely different from what is there here. I mean, yes, in the coming years it will definitely change, but what I would like to say that is, if you want to start a social enterprise, or if you have those thoughts in mind, don't stop. Today you may not be able to say make money and be really happy, but money is not the factor which should be driving you. The factor should be driving you is the cause. Then automatically, the sustainable living and money will come to you on how you can sustain, and you can actually be an employee of the organization. You can earn, and it's more like a company itself. It's not like all the funds which is coming here should only be used for the cause. You are the cause driving it, so you have to have bread and butter so you can actually take a salary out of it. And there are bylaws also in our Indian government which talks very much clearly about trust and section 8 company, where the main founder, organizers, and everyone can take salaries. And there are a lot of organizations actually who pay 2 lakhs or 3 lakhs as salaries per month. And this is a sector which is actually running really good, but there's a myth that people think this is a sector where you have to lead a very poor life and you have to do a lot of sacrifices. Yes, you have to do a lot of sacrifices at the beginning just to understand the ground and just to be connected more with the cause rather than the money. But then going on, the money will definitely come to you. I mean, it's not going to run away, or it's where you won't be able to see the money at all. It's more about the cause should give you more happiness, and when you see results in solving issues, actually gives you more happiness than the money. But definitely, money is also a factor, and it will definitely come to you. So that is one of the myth which I would want to just take it away and say people that it's a huge space and you can actually make a lot of impact. I have personally met some of the people who have completed uh, bachelor's in social work and master's in social work, and they have been struggling in terms of say people don't look at a bachelor of social work completing and coming out to the real world. I've seen them in colleges wherein they are so much happy studying it, and they're like, oh, we are studying social work, and tomorrow we'll be in these things and these things. And when they come and when the reality in India hits them, so it hits really bad, and they think, oh, did I make a mistake by taking this course, and what should I do next? Should I do an MBA and get into a company, or what should I do? So, uh, but it's never the same way, and I think people should actually stop thinking that way, because it's a great field, and it's a field where you get a lot of exposure to what's happening with on ground and what's happening with other people's life, and it's more like a cause oriented, and you're more into what's going to come out. So it's more like social enterprise is also more like running a corporate company and nothing different, but you're completely into driven by the cause, and you're completely into result oriented, and what you tend to give back to the community and give back to the people, or whichever cause you're actually running towards. So that's the myth which I want to take off from people's mind. And if they have any interest in social enterprise or the social space, happy to start it anytime.
So yeah, that's a very important myth, Anirudh, because at the end of the day, passion, cause, everything is fine. At the end of the day, you'll need money to pay the bills,
Correct.
and
Correct.
this myth, whatever you said, kind of busts that myth that you can't pay your bills with social enterprise. So you are actually doing that, and you're saying that's definitely possible, right? So that's a very important thing to actually let people who want to start a social enterprise, let them know that it's not like you will be in poverty if you do this.
Exactly.
So the question that I had was, so you are an engineer by education, right?
Yeah.
uh,
Yeah.
and you are into the social enterprise, so you are a civil engineer by education. So how did that engineering education, did it have any influence or impact on what you are doing?
Yes, it had a very big impact, because when we do the in civil engineering, we do the planning and say the layout planning and how the routing uh, of the autos and how they actually go around in solid waste management, and how the waste is being collected, and how efficient can the vehicle move around in the locality. So these are some of the things, basic projects which we did during engineering. And in our final year project, we also did a eco waste processing unit, a center which can be put up in every locality, in every ward. So yes, it did have a lot of impact, and you can see a lot of sustainable materials also coming in our field, in our social enterprise, where I mean in our civil engineering space, wherein uh, doing products out of debris, and using dry waste, all the below 40 micron waste, and trying to make something out of it, say the false roof, false ceiling, and say a chair or a table, using these components of the waste. So yes, it was very much connected, and I mean, solid waste management also comes under the city plan and how we actually define the place, and uh, it was pretty much connected. And I did learn a lot about the process. And I was not completely into building a structure, but I was completely into planning the locality and planning sustainable social management, I mean solid waste management in the locality, and how we can make it more efficient and how we can reduce the cost in the collection and in the processing. So yeah, it was pretty much connected.
Some of these civic problems are best solved at a local level, right? So I think so, because you can go, at a city level and you can make some changes, but there are a lot of things that problems which are in the neighborhood which can be solved in the neighborhood with your elected representatives, etc. So in that respect, the interactions with the local representatives or officials becomes a very important aspect, right? So how have, I mean, we you spoke about how the residents and the citizens have responded, but could you also talk about how the response has been from the authorities, from the elected representatives, be it the corporator, MLAs or MPs, whoever? So how has been their response to your efforts?
I think today it's wonderful. Talking about the current situation, it's really good, and they do respond to what we are trying to do and what results we are trying to bring out. But at the very beginning, I still remember my first meeting with the health inspector of the Ward 165, wherein I called him up and I actually told, I want to meet you and just to understand what's happening in the locality. This is back in 2013. So he called me to his office, and I had no idea about the whole thing. So when I went and met him, he actually thought I was a pretty elder guy when he was talking in call. And when I met him, I'm a small teenager in front of him, and he was very much surprised, and he had a sorry kind of face in his. Uh, I could literally see that expression, and he was like, "Okay, what am I gonna tell this guy? What am I gonna explain to him, or how is he gonna help me in development of the community?" So that way, I could figure out he had so many thoughts in his mind. So I made it really clear. See, I may not be able to add value in a very big scale, but we are a small team of volunteers in which we want to help and support in whatever way we can, and just to understand what are the basic ground reality and what are the basic ground civic problems. So that way, he did help me out in many things. He also talked about what are the challenges and how we can help. So we started off with door-to-door solid waste management awareness. So that's when the enforcement came that every household should segregate waste. And we started going on ground with them with some basic pamphlets and charts, and started explaining to people on what is there and what they can do. And similarly, I had an experience in meeting one of the constable in our police station. So the constable we met near the complex, and he talked a lot about organization structure and how you can actually have a proper structure and how does a trust work. He gave me a lot of printouts which spoke about the functionality of the trust and what is a secretary, what is a trustee, and who are board members and all those things. I think each of them, they had their own insights which they added to us, and yeah, I do. I mean, I did have a lot of initiatives and a lot of people who didn't actually respond to us, and there's some people who got irritated by my call, and they were officials who told, uh, "Hey, don't call me again, man. I'll get back to you when I have to get back to you." And yeah, these are some things which you do face, and you just need to be not completely demotivated by that. Uh, I think at the very beginning it is quite hard for counselors or the MLAs to also understand what you're going through and trying to support you because they have many things running in line. Uh, but when they start seeing results and when you start showing them the basic impact which you created, maybe one beneficiary or maybe two beneficiaries, and what was the impact created and how long it's sustaining, and what was the funding kind of process which you put in to achieve that kind of a goal. It might be a very small project, but document everything what you're trying to do, and that's what we did. We documented everything, and then we started showing it to them in terms of this was one of the project which we did, and we started involving them. And at the very beginning, we never involved any counselor or MLA or anyone in our activities, and we just wanted to do it on our own. But then we realized there are so many work which we are doing, which we can actually, when we work with them, it will be more in terms of synergy, and we can actually help them out. Then we started documenting, and then we started showing them that these are some things which we did. Yeah, it's a process. It takes time for them also to trust you and believe what you're trying to do. I think we are happy to tell that we were one of the early adopters, and today there are so many organizations doing similar work, and so many initiatives have been brought by students, and there are so many things going around. So it's basically a trend kind of a thing which got set in 2013, 14, 15, where doing social activities is pretty cool by students. So that way, even the media did put a lot of impact on it by recognizing students who did these things and started putting them up and showing the people what they did. So that way, it was a win-win situation for the hosts and also for the local councillors to support such initiatives, because they would actually uh, it would actually take a lot of burden from their head, wherein they would have some ground challenges being solved by the local volunteers and by the local uh, residents. So yeah, I think it's not a complete highway journey. I would say yes, it was a mud road in some locations, and I did get a lot of blastings sometimes. And yeah, it's more like a bond, and it's more like the trust which they have to. I mean, which will come as in when you start progressing with your work, and as in when you start showing results with your work. Yeah, that's pretty much it. And I think one incident which I want to share is. There's this one official who was actually talking to me on call, and he told, "Yes, I'll do that. I'll do this. Let me get back to you." And then I called him again, and then he was like, "Yeah, I'm doing it, man. I'll get back to you. Don't worry." But at that time, he forgot to cut the call, but he was talking with another person, and I could hear it. And he told, "This kid is not leaving me, man. Who is this? Where is he from? Why is he doing this? Why is he not just leaving us to work?" I did get, demotivated by what he said, but the bigger picture, and he actually got a Kempegoda award, which is one of the prestigious award by the municipality here. And at that time, he realized whatever he did by working with us actually helped him to get the recognition. And he even today he's very much thankful, and he's like, "Oh, that's great, whatever we did, and let's do more. Let's do more. Do you have anything else? Can we do it in our locality?" So it's more like the trust which they get, and yeah, there might be some rough times, but get ready for the best times also. One more incident is that there is a small supervisor and a Pora Karmika. They actually got so much motivated with the work which we did in one locality, wherein they had some black spots, which mean the garbage dumps which we eradicated. And it really helped them a lot in terms of their daily work. They didn't have to go back to clear the garbage dumps also, rather than the daily work. They were so much thankful to us. They called an artist, I mean one of their relatives, and then they only eradicated a complete spot, and then they called us just to visit the place and just to see how it's done, and just to give them say how good it is, and just to feel good factor. So that really motivated me, and that really made me uh, I mean, that incident really stick with my heart, and I mean, I'll cherish that for a very long time. And the supervisor told, "Thank you so much for teaching this kind of an art to us, and wherein we have done this activity today with your help. This is what we have done." And they had done a very nice artwork. I mean, they had all put their own money, and they had completely beautified the place. That really motivated us, and that really showed that wow, this is the impact which we create. This is something which we want to do across the whole India, across the world also, if there is no such communication there. And the same thing was replicated by different Pora Karmikas and different supervisors of their respective localities. When the supervisors started talking about this with other supervisors, they started motivating themselves, and they were like, hey, he did it, why can't I do it? And there were similar initiatives going around by the BBMP itself, by the municipality itself. They did it in their own localities. Uh, they only called all the Pora Karmikas together. They put all the rangolis. It was, a very personal to me, and it was connected to my heart. And yeah, there are moments which have both the faces, but you just have to be motivated and you just have to be committed towards the result, and then you will definitely get the positive things coming out.
I think that is the best part of running a social enterprise. I personally feel it's a very rewarding experience in terms of the conversion, like you rightly said. As soon as an incident happens, and if you see the results of it, so you will feel elated, saying, okay, something that I'm doing which is right, and people are actually appreciating my work, which is very nice. And again, going back, you came out of college and you're doing phenomenal work, amazing work, Anirudh. Really, truly, it is a really, really amazing work. And I personally want to, I mean, I said when I met you as well, this is something that not a kid out of engineering can think of and maybe execute for almost like 7.5 years, which is a very, very, very amazing thing that you've done. But yes, having said that, we have more or less, I think we have 3 or 4 more questions. We have taken a lot of your time, which we really appreciate that you spent with us. So again, here is a very offshoot. I mean, it is a very different question. So if you could have dinner with 3 people, I mean, dead or alive, doesn't matter. So who would it be and why?
uh,
So I
I
just wanted to catch you off guard with these kind of questions, so that we have a linear flow. Let's sort of break it and have some kind of this thing coming.
um, I mean, yeah. I think one would be man. That's a very tricky question, man. You made me think about what. Yeah, I think one would be I personally like Mr. Ratan Tata, so I would want to have, say, a dinner with him and talk about what we have done and take his inputs on how we can make it much much better, and take his input on some initiatives on working with the communities. Yeah, I mean, I would definitely. I mean, I dream to do it. I mean, I will. I am working towards that. So that's number one. Number two would be, I would say, maybe with the whole all the counselors of Bangalore at one go, with all everyone together, wherein we could give them a presentation and then have dinner about the whole process of community building and how things are going. That's number two, considering the present situation and how we can push things. Number three, I think I would go with the whole family of Let's Be the Change, with, say, a person from day one till today who have worked with us. Each and every one we would want to thank and just have dinner together. I'm not sure if I answered your question, but these were the three main things which came to my mind right away, and I've just told it.
Yeah, there is no right or wrong answer in this scenario. I mean, the best part is, I mean, as you were answering, I was thinking, so even if there's an option that is given to you for maybe a dinner, anyone for that matter, you are sticking to people, you are sticking to the work that you are doing, you are sticking to the company that you are building, which is really phenomenal. That is, in fact, that is one of the things that I personally observed as well. So you said you want to talk to Ratan Tata again. What do you want to talk about? You want to take his inputs about what you are doing is right or not. Really, really nice thing.
Yeah, I mean, if it's a business or if it's a social enterprise, you have to be connected with this 24 bar 7. So, I mean, that's the only thing which runs in your mind. Say what to do next,
Agree.
and how are we going, and what's the next step to take, and where are we.
So if there's a question that you think that we should have asked you that we missed out, what would that be?
I think I actually spoke a lot. I think I actually covered everything. I would say what I think we could talk more on, say, the government. Why isn't the government pushing towards the issues where people could actually volunteer with government, where government calling out for volunteers? That's one of the topic which would actually excite people to listen about. Uh, I was very much personally connected with the cause which we were trying to run from, say, the 7 years, and we were able to cover, say, about 10 to 15% of the city in terms of people or in terms of the localities. But when the government actually calls for the volunteers and calls for, say, we are looking for government ambassadors or say public who would be interested in joining hands with us in terms of keeping the locality clean or acting as a ward ambassador or working in synergy with us. So that was one of the things which we actually wanted to work towards and which we actually were connected in building towards. So during this COVID situation, the government actually called for volunteers, and there were so many of them who joined on board. And per locality, there were more than around 40 volunteers who came on board and who told, "Hey, I'm ready to actually volunteer for the betterment of my own locality." So that's the impact which, which was shown very much open, and there were more than 4,000 volunteers who registered and who came on board and who did a lot of work on ground. So I would say, uh, I would say to this talk that if people can actually work, and if the government can call for more such such initiatives or some challenges which they are facing, if they are more kind of transparent, that would actually make more impact in terms of people coming there to add value rather than uh, just keeping it translucent in front of people and saying that things are being managed from us. So rather than facing the challenges themselves, they can call people's help, and which they are doing presently at the COVID situation, which is really great. You can see a lot of posts coming in which talks about we are looking for BSc graduate people, or we are looking for 12th graduate people, and we have some jobs which we are trying to offer, and we have some volunteering opportunities in every locality. We are looking for frontline warriors, and recently the police department which we called for the volunteer squad. So I think that is something which can actually drive and which can actually create more impact, where we can act as a solving agent and we can act as say problem solvers, and we can act as how government can engage people, and how government can actually add more value in terms of volunteers, and how they can engage public as volunteers, and how they can say benefit the public if they volunteer. So that way there'll be more impact created in very much less time. And that way, our main vision and our main mission is to solve this problem in the next 3 years, and then scale this up in different cities and scale this up in different localities and help them also solve similar problems. So if the government is calling and being very much transparent in terms of their challenges, that way people can definitely add value, because there are so many people in terms of one locality. uh, to give you in-depth example, in my own locality, when we had the uh, government calling for volunteers, we had people from all sectors. We had doctors, we had engineers, we had some data scientists, we had some analysts who actually came and added value. So we had civil engineers, we had so many people who had knowledge in so many fields coming together and taking their responsibilities. So if the government actually initiates this on a regular basis, they initiate it due to the pandemic, if they do it on a regular basis also, that would actually make so much of difference in in a country like us, where we have a lot of population. So I think, yeah, that's one of the things which I wanted to add.
You know, this show is the Swatantra show, as we spoke earlier. So this is about people who are independent and running bootstrapped companies, enterprises on their own, interesting enterprises on their own. Uh,
Mhm.
so, in your opinion, because you have a significant experience in running this enterprise as well, right? In your opinion, what makes someone or a business or an enterprise Swatantra?
I think one thing what I would say is someone who is not uh, giving up for something which, giving something which they have in their mind very easily. So, and someone who wants to do something and who strives at achieving towards it, rather than it might be a, say, something which might be a failure also, but you should never give up. So, I mean, we have failed in a million ways in terms of our initiatives. We have failed in so many things. But what I would say is that if you have something, you might be any age, or age is just a number, and you want to do something, just go out there and start. So those guys are very much associated with Swatantra, and they can actually be whoever they want to be. And you shouldn't actually take the demotivation into a next level where you actually stop yourself in working towards the cause. So I would say, I mean, in my experience, you meet two kinds of people mainly. One who are your friends or who are your close buddies, or who are people who will actually help you do things. So if you have an idea, they'll help you improve the idea and come out it in a better form and make it very much beautiful. And the one more set of people are who tend to say discourage you, or who tend to tell you that, hey, what are you doing? You're doing is not going to work out, and who tend to laugh at what you're trying to do. But understand what they're actually laughing at, and you can then correct that yourself. So it's not like take out the second type of people away from you. No, always have at least 20% of those people, so that you understand what the other way around are thinking about what you're trying to do. So for me, to give you an example, on the first year, on 2013, when we did the cleaning projects, we didn't work so much with the government that time, and we just went on cleaning the places, and then we piled it up, and then we gave it to the government. So that way, there were some people and some of my relatives only, they were calling me as a cleaner. Hey, this guy is a cleaner, if you have any problem, call him up, he'll come and clean. Up to one stage it was very good to hear, but then I realized, okay, he's calling me this, it doesn't mean I'm not that. Yes, I am doing that, but why is he calling me, or why is he teasing me like that? So there was a complete path which I wanted to change. So then we realized it's not good to do it alone. It is good to do it with people who are already doing it, so we can help them with what challenges they have. So that way, don't completely push yourself or stop yourself from people who discourage. Take the points which they're actually discouraging you for, and try to put that in your idea and try to overcome those discouraging factors. So that will actually make you much better and make you more successful. I mean, that's what we have been doing. I mean, we always, when we have a new kind of a model or a new idea or a new plan, we put it up in front of these people, and then we wait for their uh, critical and bad reviews. So just to understand where we are, and just to understand what are the loopholes we have, and accordingly we can overcome those by working with the type 1 people and putting these on our priority list, and to overcome these things.
Great, Anirudh. I think the conversation that we've had today is really, really nice, and I personally learned a lot of things from during our conversation. I'm sure Harish echoes my thought. So, if our listeners need to connect with you for any idea or in any other conversations or any opinions that they have, where can they connect with you?
They can definitely write to us in our website, letsbethechange.in, www.letsbethechange.in. They can write to us, and they can share anything, any suggestions or anything which is running in their mind. They are happy to write to us, and we will get back to them, and we will address those queries or their ideas or their suggestions, and how we can work in synergy, or how we can have them on board, or anything it might be. So we are happy to take through our website. It's called letsbethechange.in, or any of our social media handles. You can type Let's Be the Change, and we are there to uh, take your suggestions, or take your advices, or have you on board also.
That is great. Okay, again, thank you, Anirudh. It was really an enlightening and entertaining conversation, and very open conversation about running a social enterprise. We really appreciate having this mysterious area clarified for us and for our viewers as well. I'm pretty sure the audience may not know Anirudh himself has won a lot of awards from state government and the BBMP, which is the governing authority for the city of Bangalore as well. Again, Anirudh, thanks a lot for your time. It was truly a refreshing conversation that we've had today.
Thank you, Jayant, and thank you, Harish. Yes, it was definitely, it refreshed my mind also, and talks like this actually bring back a lot of memories and puts a smile on my face. and motivates us to do more activities in the coming year days. Thanks to you both for bringing all those wonderful memories again.
Thanks a lot, Anirudh. It was a very interesting conversation, and thanks for your time.